you teased that Ben Affleck might be returning in Aquaman 2. What can you tease about your reunion with Mr. Affleck?
I love Ben. I love him deeply, and yeah, it. Ben's coming back, and hey, right here on Access. Yeah, it's wonderful. We have a lot of surprises. It's a fun journey and a lot of laughs, and I'm excited for everybody to see it.
So, we didn't post anything for one day, and we have so much more DC news coming from verified trades and publications. So, yo, what is good, YouTube? Warstu here. If you're new around here, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, pop culture-based content that we do on a daily basis. If you could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know down below everything that you think about that we're going to talk about in this video if you could. Follow us on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. And also, if you can check us out on the Twitter sphere, aka Twitter, it's WarstuG on there. It'd be much appreciated. Right, let's get into this video. So it's been a very interesting couple of weeks for DC ever since David Zaslav, confirmed the 10-year plan and axed Batgirl. So this Batgirl screening happened recently, and people that had sources that went to it said the reason it got cancelled, and it sounded pretty damn bad. It sounded like a CW pilot, so we can see why it got canned. But what I can't understand is a CW pilot that cost $90 million, which I think is around 60, 70 UK, British pound, a CW pilot. Interesting. So this pretty much confirms the plot leak that went round was true. But what I find endearing and fascinating is a CW pilot, and it has Michael Keaton in it. The legendary Burtonverse Batman was in it. And people are describing it as a CW pilot. And don't get me wrong, this YouTube channel started on covering the Flash TV show and the Arrow TV show. They were very good, but they were TV series. So I really don't think the Batgirl movie will ever get released, because if it gets leaked, the IRS in America could come after Warner Bros. Discovery because a tax write-off. This movie, Batgirl, is a tax write-off. So they can't show it. They can't financially gain from this train wreck of a movie. So, also in the news, Ezra Miller meets with Warner Brothers leadership in The Flash course correction exclusive. Interesting. Now, you've got to understand the ramifications of what Will Smith did. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock and he got freaking cancelled. Ezra Miller is allegedly, although the first one's real, he choked someone out 1 year in Iceland before they even filmed The Flash. Yeah, I get it. He was in the Suicide Squad, did the cameo with Captain Boomerang, and previously did the Justice League movie. We get it. So he was already the DCEU Flash from Zack Snyder hiring him. But come on, the alleged allegations. Alleged. He's attacking people, coming out with ridiculous claims. A fan was excited to meet him. Then he comes out with, I'll knock you out if that makes it easier. And the alleged grooming and the alleged abduction. Insanity. One apology, and all of a sudden, everyone forgives him. No. Accountability over entertainment. But Warner Bros. Seems really fixated with releasing this movie. Now, I'm grammatically going to change what this says here, because it says they care about The Flash. It's one of their favorite characters to play. It should say he cares about The Flash. It's one of his favorite characters to play. That's how I'm reading it. Ezra Miller. Now I'm going to have to reword this as well because it doesn't make grammatical sense to an English person. Ezra Miller didn't mind the stream of bad headlines, but sought help after learning Warner Brothers was considering scrapping. So let me get this straight. He didn't give a about the bad headlines coming out, about the alleged child grooming, about the him choking a fan out because he knows he did it and there's a video out there. But he only cared about it when they were going to cancel his movie and fire him. How dishonest. How distransparent. That freaking is really bad. He only cared when he was going to get fired. He doesn't care for headlines. Anyone in Hollywood cares for headlines. You don't want bad PR, although any PR in Hollywood is good PR apparently. So This allegedly happened at the Burbank plot lot on the same night that the Batgirl screenings happened the past Wednesday that just gone. I find it very bad that he only cared when he was going to get fired. So he had a meeting allegedly with Michael DeLuca and Pamela, who are in charge of DC at the moment. So he only cared when he was going to get fired. According to sources, Miller vowed to seek help after learning DeLuca and Pamela were considering scrapping the movie. Details of the meetings were not revealed, but it was the first time that Miller has spoken to DeLuca and Pamela, who took over. Now, this is very bad. This is a freaking train wreck, if you ask me. So one apology and he's been accepted. Yet Will Smith slapped someone, which isn't nearly as bad as choking a fan out and the allegations, and all of a sudden, Hollywood forgives him. The actor was apologetic and confirmed their commitment of getting care and to the production. Warner's had no comment. Miller's representation were not available for comment. So I presume this is real because this is coming from a verified Hollywood trade called The Hollywood Reporter. So I believe this is somewhat real. Now, I think the main reason why David Zaslav and Warner Bros. Discovery can't really afford to sack this movie off is because they've already spent $200-300 million on it. But I really cannot get over the distransparency, the dishonesty. It is said that Miller confirmed his commitment and apologized for bringing any negative attention to the production or the studio. Only freaking cared when he realized how serious it was and they were about to fire him. This is so dishonest. This should have happened months and months ago. So the next bit of this video doesn't really mean anything, but marketing wise, they're going to market the freaking shiz into this. The Flash movie is receiving some of the highest test screenings since Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, and Warner Brothers believes it can be a critical and box office claim. Now, all studios care massively about the critics review, the Rotten Tomato review, the IMDb score, etc. Now, for me, this means absolutely nothing because, yes, I know nothing, but I say nothing. I get it. It means absolutely nothing. Because the Thor Love and Thunder test screened very well and was one of the worst movies that Marvel ever released, in my opinion. It's the worst Thor movie. Also, that Birds of Prey screened pretty well and it came out and it was a mediocre movie. So test screenings are subjective. Now, what is interesting is if you read the plot leak that we've covered multiple times, how can this test screen very well? Because the plot is so freaking basic. It doesn't even follow the origin story of Flash, of Reverse Flash killing Barry Allen's mother, Henry Allen going to jail for it. It somewhat does cover that, but there's no inclusion of Reverse Flash in this storyline. So how can it test screen very well? Most likely because Ben Affleck Batman's in it and Michael Keaton Batman's in it. But what is interesting is this movie does look like it's going to be on course to come out next summer, which does confirm Batfleck is the main DCEU Batman because Aquaman 2 and Shazam 2 come out after The Flash. But what it does scream to me is there's going to be more test screenings because they are doing reshoots and allegedly they're changing the third act. Michael Keaton's getting shuffled around. Ben Affleck's getting more involved. Apparently Ray Fisher could appear, and apparently Superman won't be erased, but Supergirl, played by Sasha Calle Supergirl, will still appear. I can't wait to see her interpretation of Kara Zor-El. So, very interesting time to be a DC fan. Now, the biggest information that's came out recently is they want to find a Kevin Feige-like person. There is no one like Kevin Feige. He is his own entity. Producer Dan Lin is in talks to take over the film and TV superhero arm. Now, what is interesting here is a lot of people have sent me articles about this kind of stuff, but what's interesting is there's no confirmation. Yes, it's a trade website reporting it, which means it is most likely going to be real. And people are making a big deal about DC Films president Walter Amada Egerton when his contract runs out this year anyway, as we already know that. So the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, Mr. David Zaslav, seeks a reset for the brand. When he said they were going to reboot everything, I don't think they will. It's got to kick off from the DCEU SnyderVerse-based continuity and characters before it can go anywhere. So Dan Lin, he's not a bad option. Much better than Greg Berlanti, for sure. So what has he worked on? He's worked on some things you most likely would have worked on. So it was the producer on the Lego Batman movie, producer on the Lego movie, producer on the Lego movie 2. He's involved currently in pre-production with Sherlock Holmes 3, Lethal Weapon 5, Johnny Quest, Aladdin 2. But what else would he have been on? So he's the EP on Godzilla vs. Kong, which I rate very highly. But let's be honest, being an executive producer doesn't really mean that much. He's the producer on It Chapter 2, so he's worked with Andy Muschietti before. He's done a few TV series that I've never heard of. Forever, Poe, and a bunch of other. Executive producer on Terminator Salvation, like I say. But realistically, everyone knows being an EP doesn't really mean much. So what else does this article actually say? The role would compromise overseeing not just film and TV as well, with Lin reporting directly to Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav, according to sources. So this bit here is interesting because it seems like he would just be in charge of predominantly DC in a way. The proposed structure would bypass the 3 separate division heads. Warner Bros. Pictures heads Michael DeLuca and Palm, HBO Max chief Casey Boyes, Warner Bros. TV chair Junin, and put control of DC in the hands of one person. Now, I don't think Dan Lin is the best person for the job, but he's not the worst person for the job. I personally don't think Greg Berlanti is a good choice. So Dan Lin, we will only really know if this is a good choice once it happens, if it happens. But in order for a trade to say something like this with a big punchy headline, and DC's Kevin Feige found producer Dan Lin in talks, it would have to be somewhat true. Allegedly, these talks have already happened, so we don't know if this is true or if it would come to case of him getting hired. But what's interesting here is it says there were other names considered. Amy Pascal, who was at Sony, Matt, Sean Bailey, Greg Berlanti, Warstu, James Gunn. He's not a bad option, but we don't know. Now, yes, I got bombarded with SnyderVerse fans on my Instagram at Warstu of this clip where he somewhat is agreeing with the podcast interview when he said, yeah, they're just Snyder bots. But let's be honest, the person taking that podcast interview wrote a hit piece that was pretty much fabricated of made up lies about the Snyderverse fans. So to me, it does seem like he was just going along with whatever the interviewer was saying, because we already know the Flash movie, Aquaman 2, Shazam 2, all follows the DCEU timeline that was set up by Zack Snyder. So whoever takes over, you can't run from it. You can't hide from it. They will have to somewhat do something on the lines of the Snyderverse continuity to start off with. So I don't really have an opinion on if he is good or if he's bad. He's not the worst option, but he's definitely not the best option. So also in the news, my good old buddy Humberto Gonzalez from The Wrap doesn't do spoilers anymore. Now, before we talk about this, so it was an interview on something called Twitter Spaces where he was talking with Eric Davis, and he could not say anything about Henry Cavill's Superman because it's a spoiler. So, although he was so wrong about Zack Snyder's Justice League movie being released, even though I told him. Now, someone sent me this clip and sent me what was said because Humberto Gonzalez has literally blocked me on his personal Twitter account and his trade Twitter account, so I can't see anything that he talks about. But he's still credible. He is a credible person, and to be fair, when he found out he was wrong about Zack Snyder's Justice League movie coming out, even though loads of people told him that, including me, he did redact what he said. He did say he was wrong. Most insiders, most people like that would not admit to that. So Humberto did somewhat say he was wrong. So Humberto, if you want to unblock me, go ahead. So I take that as confirmation because he is a reliable source. He's not in the scooper game anymore or the exclusive game when it comes to stuff like that. And the fact that he says it would be a spoiler tells me that Henry Cavill's Superman is back, like I've been saying for over a year. It doesn't confirm the Black Adam appearance that everyone under the sun has mentioned, and I really do find it ridiculous when people go, yeah, we got the exclusive, No, you didn't get the exclusive, because literally every single fan's been saying it, and unless someone can say, in depth, the exact scene that's happening, rather than, yo, it's in a Man of Steel suit and he's just looking at him and Amanda Waller's involved, you don't know anything until you actually see it. But if that does happen in Black Adam, I can honestly see it not being revealed in press screeners or the actual world premiere. I can see it only being revealed when it actually comes out to the public in October. But then again, Henry Cavill Superman could be in Shazam 2, could be in Flash, could be in Aquaman 2. We don't know. All their movies don't come out to next year anyway. So if he doesn't appear in Black Adam in October, that doesn't necessarily mean anyone's wrong. It means they got the wrong movie. But for Umberto to go on record and say that would be a spoiler tells you that something is definitely going on. So we've covered a bunch of categories in this video, being Ezra Miller's weak response, only being worried and only being apologetic because now he could get fired and they could cancel this movie. So dishonest. We've also covered Henry Cavill Superman, pretty much confirmed to be back via Umberto saying spoilers. We've also spoke about Dunlin potentially taking over the new DC films. I think that would be decent. I'm not for, I'm not against, but I don't believe the Snyderbot comment is actually face value. I think he was just going along with whatever the interviewer said. So likewise, guys, let me know down below. Who do you think should take over the DC Films universe? Now, I know everyone's going to say Deborah Snyder or Zack Snyder. I honestly don't think either and or will. But if you don't think Dan Lin is the best person, who do you think should? And like always, guys, let me know about this. The Flash test audience is so crazy high, yet the storyline is so weak. So I don't even believe the test screener score, to be honest. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. Check us out on Twitter, WhatStuG, and more importantly, subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, comment down below so many times to help the video get pushed out into the algorithm. And I will catch you in another video very soon, guys. Catch you later.